Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Pichael. I'm doing some NFL previews, trying to get a feel for the new players on teams, teams that have left, trying to think about the public perception of each team, which players are overvalued, which ones are undervalued, um, and just trying to get ready for all of my best ball drafts and stuff like that, which I'll be streaming on Twitch. So make sure you follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/The League of Items. So with the Falcons, let's take a look at how they finished last year and what what teams are playing this year. So they went 7-9 last year. The NFC South is a good division for fantasy football in general. A lot of points scored this year. The NFC South plays the NFC North and the AFC West. So the NFC North, you have the Packers, Vikings, Bears, and Lions. I think the public perception is that's a bad division to play against. Obviously, we're not drafting these players for their schedule most of the time, but it is something to kind of take a look at, to keep in the back of your mind for like a tiebreaker situation. And then they're playing the AFC South. The AFC South, you have the Texans, Titans, Colts, and Jaguars. Um, I don't think you necessarily want to play the Titans. I don't think you want to play the Colts. The Colts played really well last year, even though Andrew Luck retired randomly. The Jaguars have a pretty good defense, but after they got rid of Jalen Ramsey, not as good. The Texans are pretty good, but I feel like they have a tendency to just kind of go for it. Like these games turn into shootouts, kind of, with the Texans sometimes, or at least they have the ability to do that. So let's go back to players that have left and players that have joined the team. So Mohamed Sanu, he left during last season. He went to the Patriots in a trade. Adrian Claiborne, I feel like I recognize that name, um, but it doesn't make me feel uh, like that afraid one way or the other. Desmond Trufant is a good player. He left to the Lions. Vic Beasley went to Tennessee. Vic Beasley has always been injured, but Vic Beasley is a good player. And when they were like going on Super Bowl runs, he was a pretty important player. He's kind of like a linebacker safety hybrid, which is an interesting defensive tool. Austin Hooper, very popular tight end. He went to Cleveland. I'm not sure why that happened. That's kind of surprising. Maybe he wanted money and they weren't willing to pay him. Devondre Campbell, Justin Zimmer. That's basically it. New players: Luke Stalker, don't care. Leroy Reynolds, don't know. Darquez Denard, that's familiar. I don't think it's a huge deal though. It is familiar though. Dayon Buchanan, don't really think he's too important. I could be wrong. I'm not a defensive specialist. Todd Gurley from the Rams, very interesting. I think that's a big acquisition for them. That should be very interesting to see how that plays out. Dante Fowler, a good defensive end. Laquan Treadwell underperformed in Minnesota. Maybe he can kind of turn things around in Atlanta, but he's playing behind Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, so not the best situation to come into unless one of them goes down. Charles Harris, Young Hoo Koo. He's actually from New Jersey, where I'm from. Hayden Hurst. I think he grew up in Ridgewood, which is like in the same county that I live in, very close. Hayden Hurst from Baltimore. There's a lot of hype around Hayden Hurst. There was kind of like too many tight ends for Baltimore, so I guess they felt like they didn't need to keep Hayden Hurst. But some people say he has like 100 target upside. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that just kind of lets you know that's where the perception is right now. So we have Matt Ryan. I like Matt Ryan. He is a consistent fantasy producer. I think he'll be good for best ball. He's the kind of quarterback that I want on my team if I draft two quarterbacks. Like if I get Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson early on, I'm probably not going to get Matt Ryan, because you're tying up too many resources into your quarterback, like too many valuable picks into your quarterback. Um, but if I'm waiting on quarterback or looking to draft two quarterbacks, I would definitely consider Matt Ryan. Matt Schaub is a good veteran backup, but if Matt Ryan goes down, you're not going to like any of these players nearly as much. Todd Gurley, I didn't mean to do that. Todd Gurley, big fan of Todd Gurley. I know that he annoyed some people last year when he like went down on the 5 yard line at the end of a game, but they're trying to win the game. They're not trying to win, not trying to get fantasy points. So I totally get it. Ito Smith is an okay backup. Brian Hill is an okay backup. I don't think either player is really going to steal too many touches from Todd Gurley because of talent. If anything, it's going to be because of wanting to limit how much wear and tear they put onto Todd Gurley. So let's look at last season. That was not intentional. Ito Smith played in 7 games last year, so I guess he was hurt for part of it. Devonta Freeman is not on the team anymore. He was let go by the Falcons. Brian Hill looks like he got more touches. So these, I guess, they're both theoretically options if Todd Gurley goes down, but I don't have any reason to believe that when they fill in for Todd Gurley, they're going to be able to take over and be like a league winner in fantasy. So I probably won't have too much of them. And then Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. Obviously, they're both very good players. Julio, target monster, great synergy with Matt Ryan. And a lot of the time, I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff because it's like if it's a really good player, he will have chemistry or synergy with everybody because he's just amazing. Speaking of Julio Jones. Calvin Ridley, somebody who did pretty well last year. He had weeks where he was like very important for fantasy in terms of DraftKings. He was the 23rd ranked. He was 23rd ranked in standard. In half-point PPR, he was roughly the same. So last year, let's see. I want to see how many targets they had. So right now he's considered the like 15th best. So they're thinking there's going to be an upgrade. Pretty good year overall. Calvin Ridley is somebody that I'm looking at in best ball. Russell Gage, I'm not really too interested. I probably won't have him in best ball. He is probably somebody I should look at in best ball though, because if Julio or Calvin Ridley go down, Russell Gage could have some value, and even if they don't go down, he could have some value in certain weeks as a third wide receiver. Maybe he gets like 100 yards and a touchdown. I guess 1 out of 17, 2 out of 17, so like a 5 or a 10% chance. That's kind of how you have to look at it. Is like if they're only worth a roster spot if they're worth. Players in best ball are only worth a roster spot if they can get to like the 20-point mark at least 5% of the time. Maybe that's a good way to look at it. I'm not sure. That's a working theory. Hayden Hurst. I will look at him in best ball. I'm not going to draft him with like a valuable pick, but if he falls far enough, maybe I'll snatch him up. Overall, I think the Falcons are a better team than their record from last year. They went 7-9. They're always right there in terms of winning the division. I think that they lost a lot of close games last year. The division did get a little tougher now that Tom Brady's there. Maybe Tom Brady can't make it work with the Buccaneers, but I feel like you have to kind of assume that he does. That's kind of scary, the fact that Tom Brady's in the division now. But that could just be good for fantasy. Like these more competitive games. Hopefully they don't, because I don't think that the Falcons would like slow it down just because Tom Brady's there. the Falcons will probably have a more explosive offense than the Buccaneers. That's basically it for the Falcons. If you like this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Check me out on Twitter and Twitch. That's all I've got for you right now. And I'll talk to you later.